Welcome back to my channel. Title: How I was introduced to lesbianism at 14 years old.
What if I told you that a seemingly ordinary experience in school, a simple encounter with a friend, a rush of excitement, or an unexpected confrontation could radically change the direction of your life? Well, that's what happened to me. My time at an all-girls school and the relationships I formed there led me to discover things about myself I never imagined. It's a story about self-discovery, about navigating the conflicting feelings of love, friendship, and societal expectations. It's a journey of realizing that life is never as simple as it seems, and that sometimes the most profound revelations come when you least expect them. This story is filled with lessons about love, identity, and personal growth, as well as how to embrace who you truly are, even when it's hard. So, sit tight, because this is a story you won't want to miss.
Watch and subscribe.
In what most would consider a decent family, my parents were kind, hardworking people who provided for me, and like most families in our community, they had a very clear vision for my future. My mother often said, "Work hard, get good grades, and one day you'll find the right man to marry." It was a simple, predictable path that I followed without question for most of my childhood. At school, I was the perfect student, the one who always turned in her assignments on time, never skipped class, and stayed out of trouble. I was a diligent learner and always did what was expected of me. The idea of deviating from this path never even occurred to me. My world was defined by rules and expectations, and I believed I had to stick to them if I wanted to be happy. But everything changed when I moved into the hostel of an all-girls school. The moment I stepped into the hostel, everything shifted. Gone were the watchful eyes of my parents. For the first time in my life, I was free to make my own decisions, live on my own terms, and do things that I had only dreamed of before. At first, I was overwhelmed by the independence. I had spent so many years under my parents' control, following their rules and guidelines, that it felt almost like a different world. The other girls at the hostel were different from anyone I had known. They were confident, rebellious, and carefree. I couldn't help but be drawn to them. Together, we broke all sorts of rules. We snuck out at night, went to underground clubs, and stayed out until the early hours of the morning. It felt liberating, like we were tasting life for the first time. I started smoking. It was something I would have never done back home, but here, it seemed like a small act of defiance against the rigid, controlled life I'd always known. The rebellion was thrilling. I wasn't just living for the rules anymore, I was living for myself. But it wasn't just about partying or breaking the rules. It was the relationships I formed with the girls around me that truly began to shape my journey. I had always been a little shy, a little reserved, but now I found myself opening up to others in ways I hadn't before. One of these girls, Sarah, quickly became one of my closest friends. Sarah was everything I wasn't: outgoing, confident, and never afraid to speak her mind. She had a magnetic personality that drew people in. Everyone seemed to admire her, and I wasn't immune to her charm. We became inseparable, spending hours talking, laughing, and sharing secrets. There was something special about the way we connected. It was more than just friendship, but I didn't have the words to describe it. At first, I didn't understand what I was feeling. Was it just a deep friendship, or something more? It wasn't just the way I admired her strength or the way we connected on an intellectual level. There was something deeper, an attraction I couldn't shake. But how could I explain it? I had been taught that love and attraction were meant to be between a man and a woman. That was the norm. But as I spent more time with Sarah, I began to realize that my feelings for her were different. The more I got to know her, the more I found myself thinking about her constantly. I found comfort in the way she spoke, the way her laughter lit up a room, and how, when we were together, everything felt right. It felt like I had found someone who understood me in a way no one else did. But what did that mean? Was it just an intense friendship, or was it something more? I tried to push the feelings aside, but they grew stronger every day. And then, one event changed everything and forced me to confront those feelings head-on. It was a seemingly ordinary day, until one of our male teachers made an inappropriate comment about one of my friends. Emma, a quiet girl who didn't speak up often, was the target of his cruel joke. It wasn't just a passing remark, it was something deeply hurtful and demeaning. As I looked at Emma's face, I could see the embarrassment and hurt in her eyes. I wanted to say something, but I was too shocked to speak. The whole class was silent for a moment, unsure of how to react. But then, something inside me snapped. This wasn't just about Emma, it was about all of us. It was about the injustice of being treated like we didn't matter. We couldn't let this go. Sarah and a few others immediately stood up to the teacher. The atmosphere in the room was electric, charged with anger, defiance, and a sense of unity. We all spoke out, demanding that he apologize. It wasn't planned, but it felt like the right thing to do. And then, something unexpected happened. We didn't just confront him verbally, we physically cornered him in the classroom, our voices rising in unison. We weren't just fighting for Emma, we were fighting for our right to be seen, to be heard, and to be respected. The incident was chaotic and emotional, but it was also incredibly empowering. We empowered him and raped him that day. For the first time in my life, I realized that I could take control of my destiny, stand up for myself, and demand the respect I deserved. But this confrontation marked the beginning of something deeper. I lost my virginity, something I wasn't prepared for. We take turn one after the other. It led me to confront not just the injustices of the world, but also the feelings I had toward Sarah. I couldn't deny it any longer. The attraction, the love, I had to acknowledge it. After the incident, I began to spend more time with Sarah. We spent hours talking about everything, our dreams, our fears, and our growing feelings for each other. The more we shared, the more I realized how deeply I cared for her. But there was one problem: society, our families, and even the school had certain expectations about what love should look like, and my feelings didn't fit those expectations. At first, I didn't know what to do. I was conflicted. Was this normal? Was it something I should suppress or embrace? But no matter how hard I tried to push my feelings away, they never disappeared. I loved Sarah, and I couldn't deny it. Eventually, our bond deepened, and we became more than just friends. We kissed for the first time in a secluded corner of the school grounds, and in that moment, everything felt right. For the first time in my life, I felt complete. But it wasn't just about the physical act of love, it was about the emotional connection we shared. With Sarah, I was finally able to be myself, to embrace the feelings that had been lying dormant inside me for so long. But then, reality hit. As graduation drew nearer, I faced the reality that life outside the hostel wasn't going to be as simple as it had been there. Society had a different path for me. The pressure from my family to settle down and marry someone suitable weighed heavily on my shoulders. I couldn't ignore the reality that they expected me to marry a man, have children, and lead a traditional life. When I met Daniel, a kind and thoughtful man, I felt a sense of duty to follow the path my family had laid out for me. He was everything I was supposed to want in a husband. He was charming, reliable, and loved me with all his heart. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. How could I marry him when a part of me would always love Sarah? The day of my wedding was both joyous and bittersweet. As Daniel and I exchanged vows, I couldn't help but think of Sarah. I knew she would always hold a special place in my heart. But as I entered this new chapter of life, I knew I had to let go of the past, or at least learn to live with it. Navigating my marriage to Daniel wasn't easy. We had to have many difficult conversations. He knew about Sarah, and he was conflicted about how to reconcile my past with our future together. At times, it felt like I was living two lives, one where I was a loving wife to Daniel, and another where my love for Sarah still lingered in the background. But with time, patience, and open communication, Daniel and I found a way to make it work. We learned to understand each other's fears and insecurities. We both had to come to terms with the fact that love is complicated and messy, and sometimes it doesn't fit into neat little boxes. Today, I can say that my marriage is one of love and acceptance. It's not perfect, but it is real. Daniel and I have learned to respect each other's past, and we've created a life built on trust and mutual understanding. I have come to embrace the love I have for both Sarah and Daniel, and in doing so, I have learned that love is not a singular experience. It is multifaceted, evolving, and sometimes unexpected. Thank you for listening to my story. I know it's not a conventional one, and I appreciate you taking the time to hear about my journey of self-discovery, love, and the challenges that come with embracing who you truly are. Life is messy and complicated, but it's also beautiful in its complexity. If you've enjoyed hearing my story, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with others who might benefit from it. Don't forget to comment below if you have any questions or if you've had a similar experience that you'd like to share. And, as always, remember that love comes in many forms, and there's no one right way to love. Embrace your journey, be true to yourself, and never be afraid to take the path that feels most authentic to you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.